think it is such a contradiction to call yourself a Christian and be a feminist, but I thought they could coexist. I did not understand what feminism really is because I grew up in the generation after Gloria Steinem. I think people who knew Gloria Steinem and the feminist movement, who have grown through that, they can't call themselves feminists because they understand the ideology and the doctrine that gets away from what true meaning of anything is. We forget the origins of Susan B. Anthony, who wanted women's rights to vote, but then again, one of the reasons why women didn't vote was because of a property issue, and so that was already changed in many states, okay? Many states agreed that if a woman had property, she could get voting rights. And I think the whole purpose of the Magna Carta, or the Magna Charta, was to explain that if you had property rights, you had the right to have a voice in government. And that's what the Magna Carta was all about. So when a woman inherited property from a man, she had the right to vote, and that's the way it was. But we have oversimplified it and say, oh, you're denying a woman's right to vote, and basically starting discord in the family. She can vote this way, you can vote that way. And what has happened is it seems like women most of the time are projected that certain things that are wrong, all they have to do is say it's a woman's issue, and then you can support it. My biggest problem was with the television. Television taught us, oh, men and women are equal, we can do all things, and I'd roll my eyes every time the pastor would read the Bible and talk about the, man is the head of the household, which he is. But it's a natural thing. It's not a thing that where you've got a choice in the matter. Now, as far as being a good head of the household or a bad head of the household, that's your choice, and you're going to have to decide for yourself. And you're going to face the judgment of God if you rule bad or if you rule good. But it's in the hands of God. And when a woman submits to her husband, she is basically doing the same thing you do when you submit to the laws of the government, like Romans 13 is talking about, certain the laws that are constitutionally sound, of course. This is what we're talking about, not the laws that have usurped the authority of God or usurped the authority of the Constitution, because the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and that is what men are told to obey. Biblically, that's the biblical responsibility. And the same thing with a woman who submits to her husband. She's going to be blessed of God if she submits to her husband. Simple as that, But, man who does not reign good as a husband is going to be judged by God, because he has a responsibility. And that's been since Adam and Eve. That's the reason why the man is the head of the household. The woman was deceived. And a good example is the deception of Planned Parenthood and things like that. If you're a Christian woman, how does a Christian woman support something as evil as Planned Parenthood? I'll tell you why, because they're easily deceived. It's like, oh, it's a woman's issue. And they get upset and enraged, and the emotions take over, not looking at facts. Well, Katy Perry says it's a woman's issue. It looked at all the celebrity worship. If I had a channel that's full of celebrities, and you can do this, I had a channel that was dedicated to entertainment, and I had more female viewers. Okay, now over here, when I'm talking about politics, guess how many more viewers I have? I have more male viewers, because more male are into more of the serious issues. See, it's like when you wonder, why in the world is an article talking about Katy Perry politics? Because that article is geared towards women. So we have to understand that men and women are not the same, okay? We're not equal in everything. The waking up point for me about feminism really came about when I realized, looking around the world and stopped buying what was on television. Now, you've got to understand, these men that claim to be feminists, they're watching 30 years of television or 20 years of television since they are 4 years of age. And every day they're talking, men and women are equal, men and women are equal, men and women are equal, men and women are equal. Okay, we are not equal, okay? There are certain rights that are given to everyone. Now, no doubt about that. We have equal rights already, granted by God. The point is is in certain things we cannot do that women can do. For instance, like have babies. Men cannot have babies. Why is that? Okay, that is the first question where you gotta think, wait a minute, we're different. Okay, the strongest woman will never be the strongest man. Why is that? It's by nature. And when you think about these things, you understand. I think when you look at secular people who get upset about women and the feminist movement, they get upset because they get tired of hearing women gripe all the time and nag. When a woman sounds like a nag, you know, feminism becomes nagism, and we call the third wave of feminism, which is what we're dealing with right now. See, the whole thing is when you had secular feminists who just want, at the time want to destroy anything that's moral. You know, secular people, oh yeah, that's the way we want to. Let's do anything we want to. But when feminism try to impose a moral code, just like a religious sect does, that's where people have a problem. They don't want to be applied moral code because of their stubborn nature. Getting out of feminism, to me, I can't really say. I would say the kicker was YouTube videos. I would say watching it over and over again, because the first time I thought about feminism, because I considered myself a feminist, I considered myself a white knight, and I was doing good. But you can't demand equality and have protection at the same time. It's an oxymoron. When I came to that conclusion that you cannot have protection and equality, then I realized how lame and stupid feminism was. That you cannot be a person who says, oh, you know, never hit me. No, you're a feminist. As a feminist, you should demand equality. You should demand equality in the military. You should be out there fighting the wars along with men. And they'll say, well, the men, we wanted to fight the wars. No. How come that wasn't a big issue? Your big issue is, I want to kill my baby, which 90% of the time is the man who tries to convince you want to kill your baby so you can live a selfish lifestyle, and then try to imply a moral code upon a man which you don't understand because you never walked in a man's shoes. I've always said this, that I believe that older women should be teaching younger women. I believe that older men should be teaching younger men. And why is that? Because we as older men have walked in those shoes. Okay, you younger men, blah, 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 I got my PhD, and I know this, blah, blah, blah. But until you really live life, everything you learn is BS. Okay? I mean, I see these young people making morality gestures towards me without living the life and saying, have you applied your knowledge? I have a question for Riley Dennis and the rest of the cucks out there. Have you applied what you teach in real life, in a real job? Not making YouTube videos, not teaching or setting up a panel at an anime convention. I'm talking about, have you worked a 9-to-5 job and applied what you believe at that 9-to-5 job to work? And I guarantee most of them will say no, because you haven't. And that's the same way with feminism. It doesn't work in the real world. It sounds like a great idea, but when you get into the real world, it doesn't apply. So, you know, when I started seeing people saying the things I knew when I was a long time ago, you know, I can't really blame feminism in my failings in my life, but I can see feminism being sort of a indoctrination cult, that it grabs you by the mind, where it changes the nature of what men or women are supposed to be. You know, man is supposed to be the strong one, and women are attracted to the strong one, which is the way it is. If you get in your mind to become a man, you will probably not have much problems as a young man in the dating world. If you're wrestling with feminism and you are struggling in the dating world, which a lot of you are, if you're the cuck friend, you might want to check your philosophy and find out if you believe in the doctrine of feminism, and you'll probably find out that's the reason why you're the cuck friend. Okay? Because the nature is that man is supposed to be the leader, and as he's the leader, a woman will follow. That's what happens. hard thing for me to get out of, considering, because I love women. I like women to the utmost. I think male feminists are patronizing women. They don't take them seriously, and that's the reason why they white knight them. And again, the reason why you're white knighting a woman is because it's in your nature to do that. It is in your nature to be the protector. And that is totally against what, quote, feminism is. And feminists, you cannot have white knights if you're at the same time going to try to destroy masculinity, because masculinity is part of the white knight philosophy. At the same time, oh, we got to have rights and blah, 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 but at the same time, they don't want to preach to the men, you need to accept your responsibility. Men will turn away from gambling, alcohol, and all these things, and moral sex, and all these things. I can respect you and different things like that, but if you're teaching men to be better fathers, then I could have hope. But if it's always going to be you griping and becoming like and hating on women, or women hating on men, which is what feminism and a lot of times what the MRAs are, you know, you're not going to go anywhere. If there's righteousness in your movement, you're going to be successful. You know, if you've made that commitment to a woman in marriage, you have to keep that commitment. And that's what's the purpose of such groups like the Promise Keepers teach you, is to go ahead and keep those promises made to a woman. That should be the number one issue with men's rights. Well, I lost my wife to divorce, and I'm not in my children, we don't have no rights. Granted, but that's because you have a strong central government, okay? And they know the population control philosophy. So you've got to tear down that strong central government. Getting more government to provide you help. Now, if you're a men's rights movement, you're a libertarian constitutionalist, I love you to death, you're on the right track. But you men's rights activists who want to embrace big government and think that big government's going to help you, no, because they have bought into the philosophy, you know, of overpopulation, and they don't want you to get married, and that's what they're going to push on you. And I'm sorry to get off the right track, but I think the reason I feel that feminism is not coherent with Christian doctrine is because of what nature is. I think a lot of commandments in the Bible are not commandments, they're just the way it is. Like, for instance, you know, the woman not being the head of the household, the man being the head of the household. This is something that there's no choices. That's what we call nature, okay? Men supposed to be with women. That is supposed to be nature. Okay, unnatural is anything that's perverted, that's backwards. And women and men need to work together to create a home. The family is the strongest unit in America. You destroy the family, you destroy America. And feminism is nothing but a movement to destroy the family. If you get in the mindset of building up the family, you'll spend less time worrying about feminism. And I think that's one thing with me with videos. I need to make more videos in defense of the family, because feminism is a philosophy that's just anti-family. Men's rights activist movement is an reactionary movement to a bad movement. And the question is, if you're pro-family, you're already anti-feminist, okay? It's like what Penn Teller says about pro-life and pro-choice. It's anti-abortion or pro-abortion, okay? That's really the issue, okay? You know, is it pro-slavery or anti-slavery? Those are the real issues. So feminism and all these movements are anti-family. You know, I learned that some of the commandments in the Bible are not commandments. They are just the way the wheel is spun, the way God set things in order. You know, man the head of the household, woman not the head of the household. Okay, there you go, folks. That's my take on the road of getting out of feminism. You guys have a great day.